What's up, YouTube? Back at it again. Got another project. That's just one board. And I'm telling you right now, it has been nothing but a headache to get it to work. And I designed it. But as you can see, I got it working. It's one part of a bigger project. So I had to start with one to get it going. So it's actually working pretty good. My design, there was a couple of foo bars, I guess you want to say, to get it going. But I gotta thank PCB Way for hooking me up with the boards, one, and I gotta say they were pretty quick on getting me the boards, way quicker than me getting them done, because, like I said, it was a nightmare to get all these LEDs soldered. There's a couple of things I would do differently on the next ones, but stay tuned. I'll show you the whole process, things I had to change, strategies I had to change in order to get this to work. So I got to thank PCBWay for helping me out with these boards. They contacted me before to do a project, and honestly, I loved working with them, and so I decided to do another project with them. This one is a little bit bigger. I say a little bit, it's a lot bigger than the last project, and they turned out very good. I went with the white this time because it matches the wall. If you watched my other Matrix video, they were done in blue, and it had a black backer on it. But I went with the white for these because they kind of blend in with the wall. Of course, you got, the black lettering, the black LEDs, which, I mean, they kind of stand out, but, it is what it is. But it turned out really good, and they're actually having a sale right now for Christmas and Black Friday, which Black Friday's over with, but they carried it on through Christmas, so that I think it's the whole month of December. You can get anywhere between $5 to $200 off an order, depending on how many boards you order and how much you spend. You can get decent coupons with them. I'll put the link in the description. But yeah, check them out. If you guys are doing your own custom PCB boards, you definitely need to look into PCB Way. The boards that I designed, I made the traces very, I don't know, prominent, because I was real worried about heat in these LEDs. But come to find out, they really don't produce that much heat. I haven't even got them. I mean, you can't even feel anything at the highest amperage setting, especially with the WLED software. I've tried to go as high as I could, and I haven't had any issues with heat dissipation on these. The only problem that I have with these boards is not PCBWay's fault, but mine. Is my design. Is I designed it so that all the pins back here, I could modularly hook them up together. And I can show you this with this. If you look here, I got pins all the way down here. So if I just want one board, I just jump it like each row. So it'll go one, like a zigzag all the way down. So to connect multiple boards, all you have to do is connect that row with the row next to it. And then you can make a zigzag pattern on, let's say you have three by three, which is what I'm doing for that wall. You just go zigzag all the way down, and there's your matrix. And you can program that with the WLED software. So it worked out. I haven't connected multiple boards yet. So that's going to be a next video. So I'm going to go ahead and move on to show you what I did with soldering these LEDs on. Yeah, that's a nightmare, because you have to basically put each individual LED down and then, solder it. The first one I did with a hot air station, like this. Hot air station like this. And it took me like 2 hours. 2 hours to get that done. Yeah. So I actually figured out that if you take, because I just used liquid solder, or it's like low temp solder. And if you preheat the oven to about 310, and I would put a little ball of solder like on a corner right here, just so I can look in the oven window with the light on and see when that melted. When that melted, I gave it like an extra 5 minutes in there just to get everything to sit. And I don't know if I can show this on camera or not. This is the first one I did with the hot air station, and it's bowed, which is not a problem because when I attach it to the wall or the frame, it'll straighten out because when it tightens up, it'll straighten out. But yeah, when I did in the oven, I guess because it evenly heated it, it it didn't warp or anything like that. So that was another plus. That, and it only took 10 minutes per board instead of 2 hours per board. And even with the hot air station, I was having to go back and get things that I missed. So the 2 hours was even more than that when it was all done. So me putting in the oven worked out great because it just slowly melted everything together. It actually set all these evenly, so every single LED was sitting perfectly on the board. Which I guess I could use one of those. What is it? The hot plate method, where you. But the biggest one I could find on that one was like 200 by 200 millimeters, and it wasn't big enough for this, obviously. Oven worked great. So if you do any soldering of it, like I said, I've been sick. Soldering of LEDs like this on a big board or a lot of components like this, try the oven. I mean, it worked for me, so it might not work for everybody, but it worked for me. As for the controller, I went with this ESP32 board. You get them from Amazon. I want to say for three of them it was like $15. And like I said, I got one running that one. I got another one running. Wow, the other matrix is down there. But the pins that I used, of course, you used the VIN or VIN pin, and ground is right next to that on these particular boards. And for the signal, I think WLED uses by default, I think it's D16 on these boards. So I soldered wires to those, and the VIN pin goes straight to 5 volt positive, and then the ground goes to ground on it, and it powers it just fine, no problems. I did go through a couple of forums trying to figure out how to wire this correctly because originally I was just using the USB Type C connector to power this, and then 5 volts for the LEDs. But then I figured out that you can actually go through the VIN pin, put 5 volts there in the ground, and it powers itself just by 5 volts. But I'll go through and show you how to install the WLED software on that. Mine was a little tricky because I actually didn't know this, but you have to hold, I think it's either, was it the boot? I had to hold the boot button the entire time it was programming in order for mine to program it. I don't know if that's normal or not, but all three boards seem to be that way. So I'll show you in 1 second how to do that. All right, so the first thing you're going to do, you're going to want to connect the board. Of course, mine's Type C. I think they have micro USB as well. Connect the board to it and go to install.wled.me. And what I did here is I just put 4.0, and of course they have the sound reactive ones, but then you have to wire up a microphone on to the board to get that to work, which I haven't yet, but I think all my projects are not going to use the microphone anyway, so I chose 4.0 and install, and the little thing's going to come up, which you might not be able to see because of my head. All right, so now that you guys can see this, you can see that I'm connected to the board. You'll hit USB serial, COM6, connect. It's connecting, and I want to install WLED on this. Yep, device will be erased, and it'll say installing. But the problem being is that on mine, I don't know if this is on all of them or not, I have to hold the boot button in order for mine to work. Like I say, it's racing, installing, takes 2 minutes. I haven't had one yet take more than like a minute or so. All right, and then you'll get that. It says installation complete. And then what you can do is once it's on there, you unplug it, solder it onto your LEDs. All right, so next what you do is you go download the WLED app. And I think it's available for Android and Apple. But once you have that downloaded, you have to go in and find it. It's pretty self-explanatory. It literally walks you through it. You have to find yours, and then you can go in and log into it, get it going. Come on, there we go. Click on it. Then you can go through and select effects, change it. You can program it to do anything you want to, really. I think you can go in and even there's some apps out there where it'll display pictures and stuff like that. I haven't gotten that far into the programming part of it, but yeah, this is what I've been using to test mine so far, and it works great. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you learned something, because I sure as hell did building this stuff. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the rest of your weekend. I'm out.